entered a powerlifting championship as a woman, and lo and behold, he's now the world record holder in the bench press. Don't you just love 2023? Coach Greg, in breaking news, the female all-time record for the bench press has been broken by Avi Silberberg. He was born a man, he is a man, he's been living his life as a man the entire time, only he wanted to prove a point. Don't you just love 2023? And so his official press was 368.5 pounds in the super heavyweight women's division. And remember, this is a drug-tested natural competition in the IPF, the APU. And so are they even drug testing these guys? Because if they were, would they not notice that their testosterone levels are probably a little bit high, a little sus? But really, if you're not injecting anything, you're not taking something exogenously, the drug test is not going to determine that you've cheated. But consider this, there are in fact powerlifting competitions where they don't drug test anyone. Anything goes. It's an open competition. And so imagine this. Someone born female competes against someone born male. They're both allowed to inject, to take anything they want. They're all the same dose. Perhaps it's 1,000 milligrams of this, 500 milligrams of tren. Who cares? Does anyone think that the female is going to in fact beat the male? Of course not. Because biology, being born male, being bigger, taller, have wider bone structure, it allows you to ultimately have a bigger lift. And in particular, the bench press, which is an upper body exercise, males have a significant advantage over females. In the lower half, at a given body weight, there's not that much difference. A lot of times women can squat and deadlift almost as much as men if they're at the same body weight, the same amount of lean muscle mass. But in the bench press, women on average 2/3 the strength of a man, and that's at the same size. And so you're already at a 1/3 advantage. And so if there was no advantage to being born male, and females were allowed to inject everything they want, would you not think that females would be equal in ability to the males? But they're not. And so I think this proves a point. If a guy can just show up and they set the world record, doesn't that prove that it's not fair? So how long before the powers that be suddenly wake up, smell the coffee, and understand that if you're born a female, you're not going to be as powerful, as strong, as tall, big, all that stuff, as if you were born a male. And so people have written me in private, they say, Coach Greg, what you're doing is marginalizing a certain community. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm stating facts. And so I've never stated that males shouldn't be allowed to identify as being female. I'm simply stating that if you were born a male, your sex is a male, and you decide to have your gender as being female, you shouldn't be allowed to compete against other women. Why? Because you have an unfair advantage. Imagine this. The Tren Twins next year, they say, heck with this, we're going to be called the Trans Twins. And enter every powerlifting meet, set all world records in every discipline. Would anyone think that's fair? But consider this, at least in powerlifting, you're not endangering the lives of other people. You're not in a hand-to-hand combat. But what if this guy were a trained UFC boxer, karate, judo, and so on, and then he competes against a woman and causes her serious physical harm, or in fact leads to her own demise? Is it going to take a situation like that before people realize, look, you're born a male, you have serious advantages over people born a female, and we don't want you to compete against other women. The reason we have a female class in the first place is because women are not as good as men in sporting competition. Sorry. I know you want to hear this. Oh no, women are just as good, just as strong as the men. In some sports, possibly. But overall, males, they have an advantage over females. And so just because you can name one or two people that are stronger than most men doesn't mean that overall that we're at a same advantage. And to me, the answer is simple. We add a separate category, a new category, the trans category. That way you can compete on an equal playing field against people exactly like your own.
No, that's not fair. They want to be able to compete as females exactly as if you were born female.
I'm sorry, but there's a difference between your sex being male or female and your gender being male or female. Your sex is what you're born with, X and Y chromosome. Your gender is what traits you're associated with being that specific gender. And so imagine this scenario. We're entering a drag queen competition, and someone who's born female and has a gender male, they compete in it against Coach Greg. And so I'm dressed up in drag, doing my best. I have wig, hair extensions, and so on. And someone born a female enters the drag queen competition. Is it going to be fair? She's already a woman. She has her sex female. Yeah, she has male on her driver's license. Oh, that's great. But when we enter that competition, do you not think she's at a significant advantage over myself? My physique, it just doesn't look shapely the way a woman's does. But if you're born female, you're going to have a significant advantage. And going back 27 years ago, I entered a hot tan competition. That's right, hot tan, sexy body, nice tan. I competed against someone who was black. She had much darker skin than me, was clearly more tan than I was. But they didn't win despite having darker skin than me. It was a hot tan competition. And so what they said is, show us your tan lines. I had very visible, clear defined tan lines since I was tanning in a tanning bed. I know it's not healthy, it's not safe, I don't recommend it, but it wouldn't be fair for someone with no tan lines, has never had a tan, but clearly had darker skin than me, to place first in a hot tan competition just because they were born with darker skin? And in the real world, there are tons of categories, weight classes, age groups, height divisions. For example, if they have a marathon competition, they say over 200 pounds. The fastest marathoner for someone weighing over 200 pounds. If you weigh over 200 pounds, do you feel like you're somehow lesser? No. They have a separate category. Perhaps you're 6'6", you're 200 pounds. Perhaps you're 5'6", man like Coach Greg, but you're obese. You weigh over 200 pounds. And so you have a significant disadvantage over someone who's much thinner. Perhaps they're an ectomorph. You're an endomorph. They often have a most improved award. Whoever took the most time off from one year to the next, you showed the most improvement. Here's a prize because you clearly worked hard and you're improving. In bodybuilding competitions, they often have a transformation challenge. Those who don't want to compete in the regular division, they have a transformation challenge. You show your before picture, you stand on stage as an after and say, wow, look at me. I went from 300 pounds to 240. I made a dramatic change in my physique. Perhaps I'm not good enough to win the bodybuilding bikini competition, but I can in fact win my own separate category. And just because you're in a transformation class doesn't mean you should feel marginalized or lesser. You're given the opportunity to get on stage, and those people likely would not have competed had they not been given their own separate category. And so by adding a trans category, you're not marginalizing them. You're adding that category to encourage their participation. You recognize that they should be allowed to compete in their own class to allow equal and fair competition for all. And isn't that the end goal? And so regardless of which side of the fence you're on, whether you agree or disagree with my statements, you have to agree on the science, on the research. And the facts remain, if you're born male, you have an advantage over someone born female. So let me know in the comments section, do you understand what I'm talking about? Do you feel I'm marginalizing trans individuals? And quick reminder, please go and pick up GO2 Max, the main ingredient NMN shown in double-blind placebo-controlled studies to dramatically increase your endurance. That means you can burn more calories in less length of time, become a better butter burner. You can lose weight, you're healthier, and there are no known side effects. And this is in human studies, not in mice, and it's not the placebo effect. Do your own research. Read the actual studies. And so if you're interested, code Greg, 10% off the main ingredient NMN. It's actually been banned by the FDA in the United States. They're trying to make it a drug. They're trying to make all the money for the pharmaceutical companies, but it's still for sale on my website. And so code Greg, 10% off, bundle up, order in bulk, get dramatic savings. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment for the algorithm. Don't forget, follow me on Instagram, Greg Doucette IB Pro. Cookbooks, training books, coaching plans by me and my team, the Circle Diet book. Also, phone consults. Don't forget to watch the bloops, at least one, the top, the bottom, I don't care. Pick one. And until next time, I am out.